Once upon a time, in the Whispering Woods, lived a grumpy gnome named Grubblewick. Grubblewick wasn't grumpy because he was mean. He was grumpy because he was lonely. He lived in a mushroom house, all by himself, surrounded by his collection of shiny pebbles, meticulously sorted by size and shade. He refused to play with the other woodland creatures, convinced they'd only break his pebbles or laugh at his grumpy face. One day, a little firefly named Flicker buzzed into his mushroom house. Flicker wasn't afraid of Grubblewick's grumpy demeanor. She was simply too cheerful to be deterred. "Good evening, Mr. Grubblewick," she chirped, her light blinking merrily. "My name is Flicker, and I've lost my way." Grubblewick grumbled. "Lost your way? Well, good riddance. Now buzz off and leave me alone with my pebbles." Flicker, undeterred, simply smiled. "But Mr. Grubblewick, it's getting dark, and I'm afraid of the shadows." Her light dimmed slightly, a hint of genuine fear in its flicker. Grubblewick, despite himself, felt a twinge of sympathy. He'd never considered anyone else's feelings, only his own grumpy solitude. He grunted, "Fine, but don't touch my pebbles." He led Flicker out of his mushroom house, his usual grumpy expression softened slightly. As they walked through the darkening woods, Flicker pointed out the beauty of the glowing mushrooms and the whispering leaves. Grubblewick, to his surprise, found himself appreciating them too. He hadn't noticed their beauty before, too focused on his own unhappiness. Suddenly, they heard a whimper. Hidden amongst the roots of an ancient oak tree was a tiny, shivering bunny rabbit named Pip. Pip had twisted his leg and couldn't hop. Flicker's light danced around Pip, comforting him. Grubblewick, who usually wouldn't have bothered, found himself carefully lifting Pip and carrying him gently. He felt a warmth spread through him, a warmth he hadn't felt in years. They carefully carried Pip back to Grubblewick's mushroom house. From that day on, Pebble's crystal instrument became a beloved part of their family's music. He learned that true talent isn't about perfection or conformity, but about finding your own unique way of expressing yourself. His honesty about his struggles and Zephyr's kindness taught him the importance of self-acceptance and the power of embracing one's individuality. The crystal caves echoed with his unique music, a testament to the beauty of difference. The trolls learned that true harmony comes from embracing every voice, however unique, and Pebble, once lonely and discouraged, found his place in his family's symphony, a unique note in their beautiful song. Grubblewick, surprisingly deft with his small hands, used some moss and twigs to create a splint for Pip's leg. Flicker kept Pip company, her light a beacon of hope in the little mushroom home. Grubblewick, for the first time in a long time, felt a genuine sense of purpose, a feeling far more satisfying than sorting pebbles. As they tended to Pip, Grubblewick found himself talking to Flicker and Pip. He shared stories of his childhood, stories of his fear of loneliness that had driven him to isolate himself. He confessed that his grumpy exterior was a mask he wore to hide his pain. Flicker and Pip listened patiently, their kind eyes offering Grubblewick the acceptance he'd craved. Pip, once his leg was healed, hopped around the mushroom house, filling it with playful energy. Flicker's light danced around, illuminating the space with warmth and joy. Grubblewick learned that kindness didn't weaken him, it strengthened him. He discovered that sharing his life, even his precious pebbles, made it infinitely richer. He learned that true happiness wasn't found in solitude and possessions, but in connection and friendship. He even began to laugh, a sound so rare that it startled the birds in the trees. From that day on, Grubblewick's mushroom house was always filled with laughter, the gentle glow of Flicker's light, and the playful hops of Pip. He still loved his pebbles, but they were no longer a barrier between him and the world. He had found something far more precious: the warmth of friendship and the joy of sharing his life with others. He wasn't grumpy anymore. He was happy, kind, and wonderfully content. The Whispering Woods had become a happier place, all thanks to a grumpy gnome, a cheerful firefly, and a little bunny with a twisted leg. Far away, beyond the shimmering river of stars, lived a constellation of children known as the Starlings. These weren't ordinary children. They were made of stardust and moonlight, their laughter echoing through the cosmos. Among them was a starling named Lumina, known for her shimmering, iridescent wings. But Lumina felt different from the other starlings. While they soared through galaxies with effortless grace, Lumina's flight was clumsy and unsteady. She often bumped into planets and stardust clouds, much to the amusement of her siblings. Lumina longed to fly as gracefully as the other starlings, but her wings, though beautiful, seemed determined to disobey her. She spent hours practicing, but her attempts only resulted in more chaotic, starry tumbles. She felt ashamed and began to withdraw, hiding behind the shimmering veil of a nebula, avoiding her siblings' playful games. One day, a wise old comet named Cometa zipped past, its tail trailing sparkling dust. Seeing Lumina hiding, Cometa gently nudged her with its tail. "Little starling," Cometa whispered, its voice like the rustling of celestial silk. "Why do you hide your light?" Lumina, tears welling up in her stardust eyes, explained her clumsy flight and her feelings of inadequacy. Cometa listened patiently, its tail swirling softly around Lumina. "My dear," Cometa said, "your flight may be different, but it is no less beautiful. Your clumsiness brings a unique charm to your movements, a whimsical dance among the stars. The other starlings may not understand, but their grace is not the only measure of beauty." Cometa then showed Lumina a spectacular celestial phenomenon, a nebula swirling in a chaotic but breathtaking dance. "Look," Cometa said, "this nebula isn't graceful, but it's majestic. It's beautiful in its own unique way. Your flight is like that nebula, Lumina, unique and wonderful." Lumina looked at the nebula, then at her own shimmering wings. She realized Cometa was right. Her flight, though clumsy, was uniquely hers. It wasn't about perfection. It was about embracing her individuality. From that day on, Lumina flew with newfound confidence. She still tumbled and bumped occasionally, but she did so with a joyous laugh. The other starlings, seeing her newfound joy, began to appreciate the uniqueness of her flight. They learned to cherish her clumsy grace, understanding that true beauty lies in embracing one's individual strengths and weaknesses. Lumina's clumsiness had become her charm, making her a beloved and cherished member of the starlings. She taught them all that self-acceptance, not perfection, is the true path to happiness. The cosmos was a brighter place, filled with the unique and beautiful flight of Lumina, the clumsy starling who learned to love herself just as she was. Deep within the crystal caves lived a family of rock trolls. Unlike the grumpy trolls of legend, these trolls were known for their kindness and their love of music. The youngest troll, a mischievous little fellow named Pebble, had a secret. He couldn't play any instrument, no matter how hard he tried. while his siblings effortlessly played the shimmering crystal flutes and the booming rock drums. Pebble only produced jarring squeaks and thuds. His siblings, though loving, often teased him gently about his lack of musical talent. Pebble felt a pang of sadness each time they laughed. He retreated into the deepest part of the cave, where the crystals shimmered with an ethereal, otherworldly glow, feeling like an outsider in his own family. One day, a traveling musician, a wisp of a creature named Zephyr, arrived at the crystal caves. Zephyr played an enchanting melody on a strange instrument made of wind and starlight. The music was so captivating that even the rocks seemed to sway. Pebble, drawn by the melody, emerged from his hiding place. He watched in awe as Zephyr's fingers danced over the ethereal instrument, creating a sound that touched his soul. After the performance, Pebble hesitantly approached Zephyr, confessing his inability to play any instrument. Zephyr smiled kindly. "My dear Pebble," Zephyr said, "music isn't only about playing instruments. It's about feeling the rhythm, expressing your emotions. Tell me, what does your heart sing?" Pebble, surprised by the question, thought hard. He realized that he felt the music deeply. He just couldn't express it through traditional instruments. He started to hum a tune, a simple melody that expressed his sadness, his longing to connect with his family through music. Zephyr listened intently, and then, taking a piece of shimmering crystal, began to shape it with his hands. Zephyr created a unique instrument, sculpted to perfectly fit Pebble's hands, reflecting the unique rhythm of his heart. When Pebble touched the crystal, it resonated with a sound both delicate and powerful, expressing his emotions beautifully. The music Pebble created touched everyone's heart. It was unique, unlike any they had ever heard, reflecting the depth of his feelings. His siblings, realizing his genuine love for music and his unique talent, embraced him with joy. Pebble wasn't a failure. He was a unique musician who found his own voice and his own instrument,